like our current scene does not really set people up, isn't incredibly accessible.
Yeah.
And also like it doesn't create like a safe space for people to really explore that art form.
Which that's
And
something
so,
I learn I watch a lot of podcasts and stuff about creativity. I was telling you earlier, it's like I love just creativity in general, but there's something about like play, especially as kids, right? The best thing for kids is to have a safe area where they feel safe, where they can explore ideas and being creative and exploring the world. And we need that all our lives. I mean, you know, if you want to stretch out and see what you're capable of, you don't, you know, if you put these, you know, expectations or, you know, these things on people, it's like that doesn't work for creativity.
Well, and it's just, it's so intensely vulnerable.
Right,
I mean, I think my experience in improv, while it had its, issues, something it did really solidify is, the things that naturally come out of my mouth or that occurred to me in the moment to say were things that the audience found, funny or heartwarming or entertaining on a regular basis. And it kind of just made me realize, people like seeing people, and chances are the funniest or the best things that you've done in your life are things that you didn't prep ahead of time. Chances, especially the funniest thing.
It's like it comes from you and deep down, it's like a subconscious level, right?
The hardest you've ever made someone laugh is probably something you did on accident. You weren't even meaning to do.
It was like you were thinking of something else entirely or something in a different word, and then something else comes out.
So it really made me I was always okay with being on the stage, but improv really taught me to
trust yourself and not overthink things.
I didn't feel like I had to hide parts of myself in order to excel. In fact, I felt like, the more of myself that I reveal, the better this will be, actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So did you have that comfortability before improv, or
was it where you learned it?
Yeah, was that where you learned it?
I would say that's where I learned it. Before, when I thought about doing comedy, my approach was always I'll tell stories about my life because I've lived a very unique life, and making those sad stories funny is what is going to be interesting about me. But I guess this is also I've been in therapy for 8 years.
That's
but it's also
I think it's important for everyone.
Yeah, it's what is my suffering is not the most interesting thing about me. It's not the most interesting thing about anybody. I think for a long time I felt all the bad things that happened to me had to mean something, so that meant that they had to be the reason that I was kind, or the reason that I was funny, or the reason that I was good at art or things like that. But it wasn't that was never the root of it. It was just it was what I did in spite of the suffering.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. It's I think the most interesting thing is what you do to mitigate the suffering in your life. It's what do you do to get over those things, which I think that's something with comedy. I think that I've definitely heard people say this on stage or heard from other comedians. It's that's the cheapest form of therapy. I mean, it's free to just get up in front of people and talk about your problems. I mean, that's the core of what some of it is. Anyway.
I see that. I'm why I ought to go to the doctor.
But if you can make it entertaining, then it works. I mean, right? If you make it funny, but it's obviously people that are just depressing in front of you. It's no, get out of here.
Well, it's also but why does the audience have to fix you? Why are you making it the general public's responsibility to make you feel better about how your dad sucks?
Right.
Oh, haha, we're all laughing. Right. Did you go home? Do you feel better?
Yeah. No, but I think that it is something. I think it's the self-expression of of those problems and identifying, because I think of art as like at its core, like we express something out from our experience, present it to the world, someone else sees that and identifies with it and something in their life, and then they can connect and maybe feel better about their situation or whatever too.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that, but it's like I said, I mean, obviously I agree with that. Don't just, actually use it for, but I think, but all art is therapy of getting stuff out that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
In a way. So
who else is gonna know that my kid beats me up? I mean,
you gotta talk to somebody about this.
So I'm not gonna hide it. I'm gonna tell strangers. That's gonna be the best way to deal with that.
So,
Yeah.
I think, but I think it's something that we all kind of do, and I think we all should do is we all need some kind of outlet.
Yeah. Well, I was curious about because I was there for a little while. I was thinking about doing improv just because I was like, man, I got to get more comfortable. And but I kind of found a groove where I like made a reconnection to back when we used to do music, and I was like, oh, I'll just do that.
Just
do what I used to do, and
fall
then
back into a more comfortable space.
And it worked, but
it's still an interesting skill, I think, to get it. Because I think
for sure,
I'm interested in it for myself, not even to do anything, but just to be, I think, more, like you said, more comfortable in the moment, which I'm getting more and more. I feel like, especially doing this stuff and like talking to people weekly, it's just forcing me to be better. It's part of that, but I think I could learn a ton from learning improv and taking some lessons from you or whatever too, because that'd be fun.
I have like I don't really know much about, literally never had much. I went to one improv show. There's a friend of mine,
like experience
Melvin, he was doing it up there. We used to go to school with him a long time ago.
I think I know.
And anyways, I went and I was like, wow, this is like super fun. This looks like an interesting thing. And so but I just said I don't have the time. But my question is, you say there's no safe spaces. Do you mean like there's no place to just do it?
Oh yeah, it's hard to get into for sure.
I guess like my experience in our current space had issues of like sexual harassment and then sexual assault to other members, not to me. And then the first time we tried to file a report, it was ignored. And so then we made a written report. And then they saw that, and we were like, "This guy's bad news. We think he should be not banned permanently, but banned for 3 months, because then like he's been gone, he's had time to think about it, and then he comes back. And then we think he should not be teaching for at least a year. And that's what we asked for. Considering what the accusations and proofs were, we could have asked for a lot more. I mean, the police could have been contacted with what we had. And so they were like, okay, that's great and all, but we're just going to ban him for a month. So it meant that he was only gone for a month.
Yeah, it's like not really that long.
And they also like didn't say anything about it. So then like I was taking a break from collecting all that data because I led that effort.
And which that's important for that stuff. I think any type of like, if you're gonna have the accusation, to get a lot of factual information.
I was running like sexual trauma Watergate, and so like I was so invested. Mentally like messed up from learning all that. Like, it's one thing to have something happen to you, but then to have it reconfirmed by like victim after victim after victim after victim.
You're like,
and realize you're just part of a big pattern of what this person is all about. I was like, oh my god. Like, and so they only banned him from a month, and then he got to control the narrative, and a bunch of board members like publicly sided with him, a bunch of staff members publicly sided with him. So it was, and like for them to have done that and to like advertise themselves as the safe way to do comedy in the city, like they actively talk shit about stand-up all the time.
Hypocrisy.
And they had like a bunch of pride flags on their windows and stuff, and I'm like, okay, well the majority of his victims were like bisexual or non-binary people, and you're gonna act like as if you're a safe space, like I tell anybody who does improv now to like, do not go to the bars, do not go to anybody's house.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a young woman or non-binary, but like just in general, because men have been sexually harassed and harmed there too. Like, don't just learn and go home. Do not.
Oh yeah. Afterwards.
It is scary stuff.
That is, it's something with like creativity. I think with doing acting, I feel like, which is like improv too. I feel like that's a lot of. You have to go to people's houses and to like, you know, practice and work on routines and your skits and things like that. It's a lot of like band practice. I mean, in a way, right? Like, whereas like a lot of comedy, stand up, they don't have that kind of
and it's so
relationship with each other.
Vulnerable because like that person can make a decision about what you are on stage right there. Like one of his favorite things to do was to make girls like his girlfriend or like
just turn it
to be into like a situation that would serve those feelings for him. So he's making that decision live. What are you supposed to do? Be like, actually, no, I'm not your girlfriend.
It's a part of
you gotta yes and
you don't want to like be combative because the whole thing is yes and right. It's supposed to be like
so
you're supposed to bounce back and forth, but whenever people use it for their own, like you said, that's a terrible thing to hear that people even do. I mean, I didn't know about that.
So like at least in comedy, like in stand-up, you can like
it's more
if you perform alongside, you know, it's not like I'm sitting like locked on.
You're not working with the person, other people as closely because it's very. But that's what I think one of the huge difference between music. I mean, playing in a band and doing comedy. That I always look at is. It's the individualized sport or the group sport type of thing with the two, but it is a group sport when it comes to improv and skit comedy and stuff like that. So.
And like at least with stand up, like someone's gonna hand me $20 at the end. Like at that theater, like. I get harmed and $0.
Yeah, and you don't even get $20.
Sometimes I paid you to harm me.
Exactly.
Like,
oh my god.